After taking 2 out of 3 from the Rangers, the Padres are ready for a 4-game set against their divisional opponent, the Arizona Diamondbacks. But the biggest buzz tonight, Darvish making his 2025 season debut after missing the first part of the season with elbow inflammation. The veteran returns just in time for the final homestand before the All-Star break. We welcome you on inside the ballpark. Mary Louise Cook alongside Mike Pomeranz. Welcome to the Padres pregame show. We appreciate you joining us tonight. And Darvish making his 2025 season debut. Very exciting for the Padres for sure. What kind of jolt do you think it can provide to this team, his return, especially at this point in the season?
Well, I think in fairness, we have to see how he feels, and he'll have to tell us, I think, after this is done, just how he feels, because there's a lot of cautious optimism, I think, right now in the clubhouse. What you get tonight is only part of the equation, and want to see how long he can go into this season, so it all begins tonight. But I think a lot of folks are very hopeful, as are we.
Well, we are certainly very hopeful. Yeah, like you're saying, fingers crossed for you tonight. We look forward to his return. You talk to the guys in the clubhouse, and they're certainly excited to have him back. We're going to take a look here at the NL West standings. So, Padres seeing the Diamondbacks. When you think about this series, Mike, do you think it is more important for the Padres or the Diamondbacks to come away with the win of the series?
In my opinion, it's important for the Padres from the perspective of they're trying to make some hay and try to catch the Dodgers and keep their spot right now, albeit early, in the wild card hunt. For the Diamondbacks, it's a tale of two equations, I believe. One is they're trying to make some hay in the West, but they're only 4.5 games out of the final wild card spot. And probably more importantly, right now, their general manager and organization are trying to figure out if they're even going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline. So both teams are looking at this perhaps from different ends of the same pipe, but they're both looking right at each other. But I think it's going to be interesting to see Arizona, if they don't play well going into the break, look for them perhaps to be sellers. For the Padres, they just need to keep building off of some momentum. They just won a series against the Rangers. They hope to do the same now against Arizona.
All right, definitely going to be an exciting series. And when these guys play each other too, I think they really bring out the best in each other. So it should be exciting. Series probables, like we said, Darvish going tonight, Zach Gallen going for the Diamondbacks. We'll get into tonight's pitching matchup a little bit later. Nick Pivetta, Dylan Cease, Randy Vasquez going for the Padres in that order. But really what we want you guys at home to note is that yesterday was a bullpen game for the Padres. And when you take a look at the starters on both sides, like these are true starting pitchers for both teams. So it should be a good matchup. All 4 games this series. We hope to see you out at the ballpark if you are not, if you're joining us on Padres TV. So with the exciting news of Darvish starting tonight, we had an opportunity to catch up with Mike Schill on his expectations for his 2025 debut tonight.
He's a very important part of our club. Obviously, the performance piece is big. We'll get him out there tonight, see what it looks like, and evaluate how much how long he goes. But just having him back, the thing about Darvish, similar to Joe, but in different ways they go about it. They're very strong leaders in our clubhouse, and Yu does in a very low-key, demure manner. But he does have a presence in our clubhouse. But having him back and being able to do both is really important to us.
I think here's the thing to remember about Darvish. If he didn't feel he were ready for this stage, he would not be out there. He's a very proud man, 38 years old, and a ton of innings on that arm, and only he knows truly how he feels. But I talked to Arizona manager Torey Lovullo today, and he said, look, we expect him to be a tough customer. We've heard that Yu is going to go out there, maybe not try to throw as hard as he typically does, where he'll often sit in the mid-90s. We might see him in the low 90s tonight, but he knows that arsenal's pretty good. And Torey told me there is maybe no one better at manipulating a baseball in the league still than Darvish. What does that mean? It means when the ball's in his hand, he knows how to spin it and get strikes, quality strikes, with a variety of different pitches, as you see there. That puts the hitter in a spot where they cannot definitely guarantee what they're going to see pitch to pitch, never mind location to location. So he moves the ball around, spins it really well, and still sits in the low 90s. It's going to be a very big night for Darvish, and a big day tomorrow for this team as they evaluate how he comes out of this start tonight. We've heard tonight he might go 6 65 to 75 pitches. Hopefully that gets him past the fourth inning, maybe even into the fifth if he's able to be efficient. But it's going to be a nice test and great to see him back in that brown and gold.
Definitely wonderful to see him back. He'll be making his 20th start against Arizona tonight, his most against any club. Hopefully you, Darvish, and the Padres K9 today. And if he and the Padres do happen to K9, you win. Score 25% off your total purchase at participating Petco locations tomorrow with your loyalty membership. Just ask to redeem the Padres K9 promotion at checkout.
We welcome you back to San Diego and to Petco Park for Game 1 of a 4-game series between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres. A welcome sight tonight in San Diego as Yu Darvish returns, making his first start since October the 11th. That was NLDS Game 5. Corbin Carroll back atop the lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks, just off the IL. He has 20 home runs this year. We welcome you inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo along with Mark Grant. Welcome to Padres Baseball, presented by Major League Baseball. Well, it is a welcome sight to say the least. The first time in 2025, Yu Darvish will toe the rubber tonight for the San Diego Padres.
Donnie, a very exciting night. A lot of anticipation on the right-hander, Yu Darvish. Boy, it's really good to have him back. And for San Diego, a healthy Yu Darvish will pay dividends because he's got the really good stuff, can hit his spots. And you talk about the history against the Diamondbacks, 9 starts since 2022, 6-1, under 3 ERA. Look at the whip and 50 strikeouts, 53 innings pitched. Tonight he's going to go around 70 pitches, but I tell you what, they've got a good lineup, the Diamondbacks. He's got the adrenaline pumping tonight. Let's see if he's hitting spots tonight, and he's got that velocity that we know Yu Darvish has.
Arizona Diamondbacks are here for the first of 4, and so far this year they've hovered around 500, had a lot of injuries. Talk about the D-backs, got to talk about their offense.
I mean, literally hats off. It's quite an accomplishment. We can count on not many hands how many people have done that in this game, and to have done it as soon as he's done it in his career also speaks volumes. And what an accomplishment. I'm so happy for him. He's earned it all. This guy's a self-made guy and has extreme talent, but he's also parlayed his talent into a trajectory that's really special, and 2,000 hits is very special. So we're super happy for him, and couldn't be more proud of him.
When you reflect on it, there's so many things that go into that. There's the excellence, there's the consistency, there's the durability of getting out there on a daily basis like he does. Any one of those things that impresses you the most, or is it the whole package?
It's the whole package. It takes the whole package. I've been blessed to be around some pretty special Hall of Fame caliber players that do this for a long time, and they have the whole package. It starts with the physical ability. The physical ability is what really separates you as you come up through amateur baseball, and to get into professional baseball, it's a lot of times the physical ability that is a real separator. Then you get to a certain point with your physical ability, and then it gets to be about your mental capacity. And, now it gets to be about how you understand how to play the game. And are you going to be able to, always felt like it starts around AA, AAA. But once you get to the big leagues, if you can't get out of your own way and you can't think for yourself, and you can't see what the team against the way or the guy on the mound's trying to do against you, you're not going to last very long in this league. You better be super talented. However, when you're super talented like Manny is, and then you're highly intelligent, and then you have the ability to look across the field and see what's taking place and know how they're going to pitch and be aware of situations, where they're going to go at you, where they're going to pitch around you, what they're going to do in certain situations, be able to not only understand what that looks like and still have the physical ability to do it. Now you're looking pretty special. And then the last thing you talked about, which is exactly accurate, the last couple of things really is that they both go hand in hand, and that's the durability and the toughness. In order to accrue numbers that are 2,000 hits, you got to be on the field. You got to play. And that's why he's a 7-time All-Star. He's on the field a lot. That's why he's accruing big numbers. And toughness is a part of that. It's a mentality. And a wonderful example of that is right after his 2,000th hit, the game told him, "Hey, man, we're gonna get a foul ball right off the top of your foot, with a big sinker right on your foot that's fouled off." And then the toughness to finish that at bat, and then hits a homer the next at bat. That's toughness. And not everybody has those combinations: the physical ability to get here, the mental capacity to use it, and then the physical toughness to stay in the competition and then still perform when you don't feel your best. And that's the trifecta that is a special player.
Your thoughts on you, Darvish, getting back out there? How do you think you look tonight?
Encouraging. Very encouraging. Shapes were good. Talking to Ruben after the game, he was pleased about the shapes, the way the ball was coming out. My eye tested, he was moving well. Velocity was there. You felt good after the game, felt good during the game. So for him to be able to get that 63 pitches, there's a little bit of stress in there. But, and again, he's only going to get better the more he's out there. But, it was very, very encouraging outing for you, and it's good to see him back out there and see number 11 on the mound for the Padres.
Mike, for Manny to kind of to do it here and kind of the bond that he has with this city, what have you noticed about the way Petco Park seems to embrace him?
This is it's a baseball city. It's turned into a really, 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 one of the better baseball cities and fan bases in all of Major League Baseball, and I shouldn't speak of before I got here, but I was in the league, for a period of time, and there has been a lot of history and success here, with the Padre organization, but the level of consistent engagement, coupled with an expectation of having won and continuing to expect to win, which we have, it started with Manny. It really started with that signing. We spoke a little bit about it before the game. Clearly, that was a salvo to the league that says, hey, man, the Padres mean business. The good news is it didn't stop at Manny. Otherwise, it wouldn't be where it's at. But it did start with a premier name in Manny Machado, and it was somebody that the city could get behind, that has some real star power and identity, that had an experience, but also is in that sweet spot of his career where he'd done some really significant things, but still had a long runway of special things to still happen, and he's still on that runway, and that's the good news about it. There's a lot of runway left for Manny, for him, and for us, and that's something that people can get behind, and that's something the city's clearly embraced. And the last part of that is equally important for my seat, just as a big picture, and I can only expect the organization to appreciate this as well. You got a guy that also is entrenched in the community. This is a guy that lives here. He spent a lot of his time in the off season here. He's established roots here, and then he's also invested his time and his resources in this community. And so you don't have a guy that showed up and said, hey, I'm grateful for the big contract, I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to kind of parachute in and out. Rightfully he can go home to his home base in Miami, but point being is this guy's established roots here, and this guy's established community investment, and he's sincere about it. And the thing is yeah, there's some forward-facing things that happen that he lends his name to that are important, and then also there's some things that rightfully he does that no one does need to know about, but that he takes care of people and organization, this community. And then the last piece of it, he's invested in another franchise here, which says a lot. It means a lot that he cares about this city as well, and I think that's super healthy also.
The eighth inning, pinch hitting for Maldonado, you had a couple options there. What was the thinking behind going with Diaz there?
Yeah, Maldi, we keep him in. He's been pretty good. He's been good against lefties. We get the righty in there. It's a tougher matchup for Maldi. We go one out there. This guy's more of a sinker ball guy. He's on the ground a fair amount. So we would have gone with Bryce, stay out of the double play. But once we're two outs, we need a ball maybe that can get in the gap with two outs and be able to tie the game or get out of the ballpark and take the lead.
Mike, you've talked about a little bit as he struggled, but as Jackson continues to go on and he's chasing pitches that he kind of wasn't before, what can you do to get him out of that there?
Listen, there's things that I can do and we'll continue to look at, but ultimately, Jackson, there's a learning curve to this league, and there's a, it just happens. Manny, Bogey, you name it in that clubhouse, Toddy, they've all, you just go through it, and it's part of what is becoming a major league player. And we talk about trajectories of careers. Jackson's on a really great start of a trajectory of his career. You mentioned some of the attributes that we talk about with Manny. I don't know the numbers, don't need to know the numbers, but we know in conversation with any guy that's played any significant time in this league, they will have struggled. and there's a learning curve to it. And, I don't want to steal any of the attributes that and the praise I gave to Manny, because those are his tonight. But Jackson has them. Jackson has the ability, Jackson has the mentality, and Jackson has the physicality and the mental toughness, and Jackson will come out of it just fine and be better for it. But struggling at the big league level for the first time over a period of time is everybody's birthright to some degree, and he'll come out of it, and he'll continue his trajectory in a very positive way.
How good did it feel to get back out there?
すごく不安もありましたけども、帰ってこれてよかったです。
It feels good to be back. A little bit nervous going back in there, but it's definitely good to be back.
You'd mentioned that last time when you'd taken some time off and you came back, that you had some butterflies, you had some adrenaline going. Same thing for you tonight?
そうですね。ちょっと気持ちが高ぶったりとか、うまくコントロールできないところがありましたけれども、はい。
Yeah, I think so. I think I was a little bit amped up, more than usual. So yeah.
It looked like you had good shape on your breaking pitches. Did you feel good about the stuff tonight?
そうですね。球の球質に関しては、変化球はすごく良かったと思います。
Yes, as far as the off speed goes, I think it was coming out of the hand nicely. I'm happy with that.
What were you most pleased with? You used everything. I just wonder, what were you most pleased with?
スライダーですね。やっぱりちょっと肘のことでちょっとスライダーを諦めなきゃいけないかもしれないっていうことに直面したりもあったので、ちょっとそれがちゃんと投げられたっていうところが良かったです。
I think the fact that I was able to throw the slider, without any issues. I think, part of me, I was a little bit worried about, it's a little bit stress on the elbow area. And but just to be able to throw that pitch without any issues, I think that was the positive part about today.
How important was it just to get out there and do what you did tonight in terms of your progress?
そうですね。最初の第一段階として、こういう試合で投げられたメジャーの試合で投げられたってところはすごいステップになると思いますし、また次も課題があるので、それをちゃんと一つずつクリアできるようにやっていきたいと思います。
Yeah, obviously it's a good thing to be back on the mound, back on the big league mound. You find out what you need to adjust, what you need to work on. So yeah, I'll just keep, making those adjustments, keep working, and looking forward to the next one.
What does your progress look like from here in terms of the next start, and how does the All-Star break help in terms of building you up to that regular pitch count?
オールスターブレイクのことまではちょっと考えてないですけど、ここから毎試合例えば15球とかずつ、増やしていくっていう形になると思うので、はい。
Yeah, all I can tell you is probably the number of pitches may increase as we move forward, 15 pitches or so maybe. So I'm not thinking too ahead, but I think, the ramp up is going to be just adding a little more pitches.
I know you obviously didn't want to miss the first part of the season, but do you still feel like given where this team is and the impact you can make down the stretch that this can still be you can still kind of make a lot of what's to come?
Make a lot of impact for the positive impact for the team, you mean?
ポジティブなことをチームにちょっと3ヶ月遅れちゃったけども、もたらしていくことができると思いますかっていう。
そうなれるように、日々ちゃんと努力をしていきたいと思います。
Yeah, obviously you want to be a help to the team. You want to bring positive, bring some positive stuff to the team. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what I'm aiming for.
You were around 95, 96 with the fastball. What did you think of the fastball velocity tonight? Is that a range you want to be in going forward?
良かったと思いますね、96とか、見れると、元気な証拠だとは思うので、勢いのある球を投げられて良かったと思います。
No, I think it was good to see 95, 96. It tells you that your body is able to do that. You're able to do that. So yeah, definitely good to see those numbers.
Do you think there might be any benefit you to being able to finish strong? Getting this rest that you didn't want, but might there be a benefit?
この3ヶ月が良かったかどうかと。
この休みがあったがためにここから多分良くなるっていう、もちろん休みたくなかったと思うけど、
そうなることはもちろん酔ってますけど、3ヶ月元気で休んでたわけじゃなかったので、なんですかね、ここからもまた慎重にやっていきたいと思います。
No, obviously I hope it's going to be better moving forward, but it wasn't like I was resting healthy for the 3 months. You obviously rehabbing and trying to get back to it, but yeah, obviously the goal is to try to stay strong and finish the season.
What kind of challenge has this been for you? How has it tested you in a different way than maybe you've been tested before in your career?
この3ヶ月ですか？
やっぱりね、自分にとって大変なところだったんじゃないですか。
すごく難しかったですし、なんていうんですかね、いろいろ考えることも多かったですけれども、いろんな人に助けられて、メディカルのスタッフに助けてもらって、こうやってまたマウンドに立ってたので、本当に感謝してます。
Yeah, it's tough, like you have all this time to think about stuff, and but I think the medical staff they really helped me to get back to where I am. So right now there's a lot of thankfulness and gratitude to those guys.
What did you think of Manny reaching 2,000 hits, and what has impressed you the most about the way you watched him get there?
もう日々あって、毎日試合に出続けている姿見てますし、自分が投げた試合で達成してくれて、自分としてもすごく嬉しかったです。
Yeah, it's good to see him do it on a day that I'm on the mound. You see him go out there every day, and like he grinds, and that's impressive to see. I think it's a great accomplishment.